So Michael Irvin comes in at number 7. I got him number 7 because the playmaker is the playmaker. The playmaker is the guy. The playmaker set all types of records at the University of Miami. He was all world, all pro. To me, that one game that stuck out to me when he was at Miami was when they played Oklahoma in the Orange Bowl. And he literally told Oklahoma's cornerback, Ricky Dixon, he says, Ricky Dixon, if you want to have a good night, don't line up in front of me. Because if you line up in front of me, you're going to have a tough night. And sure enough, Ricky Dixon got beat several times by Michael Irvin for touchdowns. And I'm going to tell you something about Playmaker. Playmaker has swag. He had swag when he was at Miami. He had swag when he was at the Dallas Cowboys. His career was cut short because of a neck injury that he sustained in Veterans Stadium at Philadelphia. And, you know, people were laughing and they were celebrating when the guy got injured and he had to be carried out on a stretcher. I thought Philadelphia fans was just, you know, they just didn't have any class, you know, to be celebrating a player that's laying on the ground motionless, that's not moving because you don't like him or the Dallas Cowboys. So let me revert back. When Playmaker was at Miami, they were all world. Those teams were all world. One thing that stuck out to me with him is he lined up in a 3-point stance as a wide receiver as comparison to standing straight up. That's the way Howard Schnellenberger had the offense designed back then with the Eddie Browns of the world and the Stanley Shakespeares of the world. And those guys within those 3 points, when they would burst out of that 3-point stance, they knew exactly where they were going. You know,
it's like they running track.
It's like they were running track. It's the same concept.
Yeah.
So when,
but you know what? Sometimes that's also a kind of that's kind of a sign of respect too. When when a player is down and he's celebrating, it looks bad, but a lot of times they're doing that because they relief that the biggest threat is down. Yeah. It don't really mean because they want him, to cease or never play again. It's just that, oh, thank God he's out of here. Basically, sometimes that be that way. I've seen that. I've seen that in basketball plenty of times. When Durant blew his Achilles, the Raptors was freaking celebrating that he couldn't play no more. But then they calmed down. Then they talked to the fans. They're like, no, we don't live like that. Like we're more classy than that. Pop did that with Kawhi. When they came back, they booed him. He called timeout. He said, San Antonio we don't roll like that. We're a class. We are a very class
organization.
Organization. So guess what? We're gonna be as such. So a lot of times that be just respect, not really being classness about it.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
That's a good point, Najee. I totally agree with you with that. The one main quality for Michael Irvin that stuck out for me, which is playmaker, his leadership on the field was unmatched. I mean, there was no other receiver on that team that could match his intensity and his leadership, and him going to Troy Aikman and say, look, I got you. Just throw it to me. I got you. That showed against the Buffalo Bills when the Dallas Cowboys beat the Bills in the Super Bowl. He had like multiple touchdowns, and he beat several different Buffalo Bill defenders to get those touchdowns. They were running catch balls. A couple of them were deep balls. Playmaker, he set a precedent because of his leadership. And on top of that is because of his blocking ability too. A lot of people don't remember that he was an excellent blocker. He didn't just stand around like you see nowadays with the George Pickens of the world, and they stand around and act like they don't know where they are when somebody. He was a super good blocker.
Yeah, and a good.
He was definitely a motivator. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So once again, I could have easily placed him above Johnson, but I just came to the conclusion that Johnson, to me, stuck out a little bit more than Playmaker. I met Playmaker before, so upstanding guy, real nice guy. I talked to him when he was out here, and I hope to talk to him again. He's always welcome on this show. Come on and talk to us. Let's go to number 8, Steve Smith Sr. I don't know whether a lot of people are familiar with Steve Smith Sr., very undersized wide receiver, grew up in Los Angeles, grew up rough and rugged, tough in its nails, as you could technically say. He ended up getting a scholarship to University of Utah, and he lit it up when he was at Utah. But what was special about Steve Smith Sr. was his veracity. Steve Smith Sr. technically played with like he had a chip on his shoulder every play. He played for the Carolina Panthers for a bulk of his career, and then he played for the Baltimore Ravens at the very tail end of his career. For a receiver his size to be able to basically, and he talked a lot of smack to defenders, and he used to tell defenders, look, I'm going to do this to you, and this is what's getting ready to happen to you. And another quarterback to receiver connection was Jake Delhomme when the Carolina Panthers ended up going to the Super Bowl. Jake Delhomme threw to Steve Smith Sr. a lot. And it looks like his yards was 14,731 yards. He had 8 seasons with 1,000 yards. He had 81 touchdowns. He was a feisty guy. He literally played like he was angry as well, because when he played and he caught the ball, he ran angry just as well as T.O. and just as well as Michael Irvin and Larry Fitzgerald. So I put Steve Smith Sr. into this list. I could have came with some other receivers, but he stuck out the most to me. I saw him play a lot. He's currently, I believe he's on the NFL Network still as a sports analyst on the network. Najee, do you have any issues with Steve Smith Sr. sitting at number 8?
No, he's fine. He's fine. I put him in that same spot too.
Okay. Isaiah, how about you? You've seen Steve Smith Sr. play, right?
Yeah. He's all right.
Undersized receiver, but he played a lot bigger than his size was. He ran a lot harder than his size, and he was just the type of receiver just wasn't going to let you tackle him either. If you came up the wrong way, you were going to get knocked over. So let's move on to number 9, Isaac Bruce. Isaac Bruce used to play for the Los Angeles Rams. The greatest show on turf. He played with the greatest show on turf, him and Torrey Holt. They were connections with Kurt Warner. And, I'm going to just tell you right now, Kurt Warner to Isaac Bruce was just instant connection when it came to receiver, quarterback to receiver. Isaac Bruce gained 15,208 yards. He had 8 seasons with 1,000 yards. He had 91 TDs, smooth route runner, very productive. He was the type of receiver that most defenses didn't fear and pay attention to, so he would hurt them. When you don't fear and pay attention to a certain player, those are the players tend to come back and hurt you in the long term. The one thing I like about Isaac Bruce, that he was able to, he had a good attitude about playing along with Warner and Marshall Faulk and all those guys. Listen, as far as I'm concerned, New England shouldn't have won that game against the Rams, because before that game, there was alleged rumors that the New England was actually filming the Rams walkthrough. And that was a game where New England kicked the field goal and ended up winning that game against the Rams. They weren't supposed to win that game, but they ended up winning that game. So I placed Isaac Bruce here. Do you have any issues with his domination, Isaiah, being at number 9?
No.
How about you, Najee? Not at all, man. But this is top 10, right? That was 9.
Yeah.
Is Tyreek Hill or Antonio Brown going to be in this last spot?
No,
sir.
No.
Oh Lord. Oh Lord.
Neither one of them on there, man.
You guys ready for the number 10?
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Okay, so number 10, I got Tim Brown. Tim Brown's ex-Notre Dame wide receiver, lit up Notre Dame, very productive possession receiver. You threw it to him, he wasn't going to drop it. He went up at the highest points and got the ball. He would catch the ball in very difficult situations. One good quality about Tim Brown is Tim Brown was able to catch and run with the ball, just like Jerry Rice. He's not, as far as I'm concerned, Tim Brown was so quick, and his ability to be able to run his routes quickly and be able to catch and run made Tim Brown special. Tim Brown, he was just a phenomenon. I mean, if you look at how he operated, and it looks here though, he had 14,934 yards. He had 9 seasons with 1,000 yards. He had 100 TDs. And in comparison, basically, there's like 6 other receivers that was in front of him that was able to, with a season of 1,400 yards, technically he gained 1,400 yards, but there was 6 other receivers in front of him that was able to do that. Tim Brown is a special receiver, man. And a lot of people, he went unnoticed because he was on those Oakland Raiders teams.
Yeah.
And the Raiders weren't getting a lot of TV time at the time. But when I did see him play, he was very impactful. He was very effective. He had speed. I mean, he was super fast. And he had the ability to be able to get open on go routes. He had the ability to be able to block. He was a good blocker as well. So that's what brought me to Tim Brown at the number 10 spot. Najee, let me start with you. Do you have any issues with Tim Brown being number 10? And I know you do, right?
Yeah.
Without Tyreek, right?
How you take both of them out of them? How you take, bro? So you mean to tell me just between the last two that I mentioned, Tim Brown beats them out?
Yes.
He beat.
But Najee, you didn't see Tim Brown play though, right?
Nah.
Okay, so you might want to check some highlights out of Tim Brown, because in his time, and Tim Brown is in me and Isaiah's generation, so he's right around the age that we are now. We saw him a lot when he played. So, I've seen Tyreek Hill play, and, Tyreek Hill is, to me, at some point in time, and I'm pretty sure on a lot of people's list, Tyreek Hill would end up in a higher slot than even number 10, on the list.
He definitely would have been there if he would have stayed. He would have definitely been there if he would have stayed with the Chiefs.
Yeah, but that's
for sure.
current stuff. That's current stuff, DC. If anybody on that list right now, even though Tyreek is really good and his career should have, sustained for many more years, but for right now, as he is still playing, he couldn't make the top 10. You gotta let him play out some more of his career, man. And
that is a very valid point, Isaiah.
Yeah, and if you look at it of his off the field antics, if he let that disturb his career, he may not ever even get on this.
Never make it. Yeah,
because he's just got so much negative stuff happening behind him. As of right now, he ain't got no business being on a top 10 all-time receiver list, man. You got to be nuts to even consider him right now. Only thing we're looking at is the guy is super talented. He has some great years at San Francisco, at KC, and now he came down here and he had a few good years here. But it could have been better if we had a good quarterback that can sustain it, a year. But other than that,
that's true.
He got more off the field stuff now. He can fit in the top 10. If you start talking about jackasses, he'll fit in the top 10 then. So right now, you're not.
So Najee, justify the other receiver that you mentioned along with Tyreek. Justify why he should be at number 10 at least, or on the list.
Are you talking about to put him over anybody? I mean, you got.
Who did you mention? Because
Antonio Brown. I was just asking.
Oh, Antonio Brown. So justify Antonio Brown being placed at number 10 if you could.
Well, I mean, when he did have his head on straight, like he had some really, really dominant years. And then, I mean, how many championships he has? He have one with the Steelers and with the
Buccaneers,
Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I think he got one, Najee.
I think he's got one with the Buccaneers, I believe.
Yeah,
that was it. So he didn't win with the Steelers?
Nah, I don't think he won one with the Steelers. They didn't win with
Big
Ben though. I think Big Ben's
He
career
has
was
one
number
Super Bowl
5.
ring with
Only
the
one with
Bucks.
the Bucks. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And, Tim Brown played 17 years in the league, which was a long, long time. He
He's been
played
17
longer than
years?
Jerry
That
Rice
is a long
did.
time.
Yeah. He played
Wow.
longer than Jerry Rice. Him and Jerry Rice was on the same squad that played against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the time when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers ended up, Tony Dungy ended up leaving Tampa Bay, and Chucky ended up being the coach, and John Gruden became the coach, and he ended up winning the Super Bowl with Tampa Bay at that time when Tim Brown and Jerry Rice was playing as bookends for the Raiders with Rich Gannon throwing them the ball. So those were my top 10 GOATs of all time. Let's go ahead and get a grade let's start with Isaiah. Let me get a grade and I can write it down.
I thought you did a great job, man. And I looked over some of the stuff. I even looked at the internet and looked at some stuff that probably could combat some of the stuff that you were doing. And you did a great job, man. And I'll rate you as a B plus, a high B plus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got you. How about you, Najee?
You like you did your homework, sir. You did a very good job. The only thing I'm gonna dispute is the Michael Irvin part. So I'll give you an A minus because you don't disrespect my man. That's prime talking about the prime. Come on, don't do playmaker like that, man.
I hear you, man. I hear you. Well, you know what? I enjoy talking about these players because these players made such a big impact for their teams at the time. They made history. A lot of these players are already in the Hall of Fame. If you think about it, and you could only just think that, like, for example, Jerry Rice, Randy Moss, T.O., Calvin Johnson, Marvin Harrison, Michael Irvin, Tim Brown, Isaac Bruce are all in the Hall of Fame. It looks like Larry Fitzgerald and Steve Smith Sr. are the only two that hadn't made it to the Hall of Fame. So we will.
You know what that shows you then? That shows you that a lot of wide receivers got a lot of work to do then. Because if you tell me every last one bit of your players is out of the tender career or retired, like there's nobody frequently in they're not playing right now. They're not. That's crazy. Because Brady just left, but we put him number 1. So
of course he's a first ballot for sure.
Everybody you mentioned Ben left, and they still haven't even made that list.
But that quarterback thing is the whole different dynamic, man.
Yes, it is. It's a different element to the quarterback.
Think about this, Najee. Some of these guys who's in the Hall of Fame, Brady was playing at a high level when they were playing, and he just retired, a few years ago. And understand how old Brady was when he retired. Also, those guys wasn't that old when they retired. They got Super Bowl rings, but they don't have as much as Brady either. But Brady played longer than all of those guys, man. He really did.
He did.
Yeah, but he played with some great ones, though. He played with some great ones. He had Drew Brees. He had Peyton Manning. He had Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers still playing. So that's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
exactly.
This will be working on the linebackers for me.
Well, Najee, which list you gonna? Because we're gonna go with your NFL list next.
We still doing NFL, or we're gonna do NBA? We still doing NFL.
Which would you prefer to do? I mean, it's up to you. It doesn't matter. If you want to do NBA, we could go with a new NBA.
Because we already did 2 with the NFL now.
Yeah.
So let's go with another NBA. We'll get you to do whatever position of your choice in the NBA, your top 10, whatever position.
Centers then.
All right, centers. All right, so our next show, and we'll do our next show with centers, and we'll do that one live stream so other people can actually, chat with us while we're doing it. How about that?
Yeah, perfect.
That's fine.
Well, you guys have been awesome, man. We've covered a lot of ground with this list. We've covered a lot of ground on the beginning of the show. Our show is really caught on like fire. It's a wildfire. It's gotten bigger. It's turned into a bigger fire. So in a good way, not a negative way for fire.
And yeah,
We
and the views are
appreciate you, the
pouring in,
viewer.
man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we're looking to have you subscribe, keep subscribing, make sure you hit that like button and visit us on Facebook, visit us on Instagram, because we're here. And if you want to comment on some of the stuff that we've talked about today or yesterday, please chime in your comments. We're very, we want you here, and we'll definitely answer as many comments as we can, based on how many comments come in. And, we appreciate everything. And I'm going to have Isaiah go ahead and close it out for us.
Oh, man, what a beautiful day, man. It was a great dialogue between us three and covering your list. We did a good job on mine last week. And then, of course, Najee's going to be next week with the centers of, NBA basketball. And I'm looking forward to it. But like I've always said, you guys and continue to tell everybody about us, your friends, your colleagues at work, your neighbors across the street from your home, that we're on. It's a beautiful thing and we're loving it. So you guys have a pleasant weekend and we'll be talking to you soon. Enjoy your day.
All right. How about you, Najee?
Peace and blessings, love God, because He's definitely gonna love you, love your family, love your friends, and just live life as as good as you can, because none of us is perfect. So just try to be the best person you can. I just lost a friend last week. I didn't even know she passed away. I'm still trying to figure out how she passed away. I found out right before the show. So just love on your people, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You guys couldn't have summed it up any better. So thank you for joining the DC Stewart Show podcast, along with my two kin folks, Isaiah and Najee. You can view the entirety of this show on your ride in, whether you're going to work or coming home from work. And this is some good feedback, and this is some good content that we're putting out here for you. So let us know. We'll talk to you again soon. Take care of yourself before you take care of anyone else. Take care of your mental health, your physical health. Peace, love, and prosperity. Take care.
You've reached the end of another episode of the DC Stewart Sports Talk podcast. Be sure to connect with us at Facebook and Twitter.com. Your voice is important, so head over to iTunes to subscribe, rate, and leave us a review. Catch our next episode.